I think you're amazing.
You are too, Henry.
Thank you so much. Well, Perry, you are awesome.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, and I appreciate you what you're doing too, buddy.
Well, thank you. Because if you allow the world to define you, if you allow friends to define you, if you allow your spouse to define you, or anybody to define you outside of how God sees you, that does open the door to rejection. God bless you. I hope y'all have an amazing day.
Thank you, Brother Henry.
Thank
Thank
you.
God bless you
Thank you.
too. Thank you for having us.
Welcome to the Brawler Henry and You Show. I'm your host, Henry Harris. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Today we have a great program for you today. As I always say, as always, we try to bring some good messages and good content your way. And I really appreciate you for taking this opportunity to watch, because I really believe that what I'm going to share is going to inspire you, is going to help you. And today's subject is like a general message. I think it's a universal message. It's something that a lot of us have dealt with in regards to relationships in the past. And that is your significant other too busy for you? I got that word busy in quotations. Have you been with somebody that's too busy for you? I have, and I'm going to be sharing my story of an experience that I've had a while back with someone. And that's what I want to talk about today. So go ahead and share. If you're watching right now, go ahead and hit the share button. Send some hearts, send some likes, show your love for today's message right here on the Brawler Henry and You Show. So I'm going to talk about, is your significant other too busy for you? I really don't even like that word too busy, because I feel like when you say you're too busy, to me that implies that you don't have time for me. But you have time to do this, you have time to work, you have time to cook, you have time to clean your house. We make time for what's important to us, right? But when it comes to relationships that we're adults, that we willingly walked into and accept, within those relationships, we have the audacity to say that, oh, I don't got time, I'm too busy. I always think, like, why are you even in a relationship if that's the case? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Every relationship has phases when one person can become distant from the other person. Have you been with someone like that before? But if your partner is suddenly too busy for you, that could be part of a much bigger problem, and you need to address it. Especially if they tell you that, oh, I'm too busy. Well, why? Why? What are you doing that makes you feel like you're too busy for me? How come you can't ever have time for me? And that is important. I've been in quite a few relationships. I'm just 36, but I've been in quite a few relationships in my life. Not a lot, but quite a few. I was married a majority of my life, but I had to learn that investing time in each. I'm not saying seeing each other for an hour or two and then going off about your day. I'm talking about spending quality time together, getting to know each other. That's how you develop. That's how you grow. That's how you learn each other. But if you're not spending time with each other, you may need to look for the nearest exit and try to either be single or try to connect with somebody who is not too busy for you. So this is why I would like to address this subject today, because I believe it's a well-needed subject that needs to be addressed. So let me first of all ask you this question: Are you? This is a personal question to you, and I would like you to put this in the comments if you are not ashamed to talk about it. The question I would like to ask you is: Are you too busy for your significant other? So many people today claim that they're too busy while in a relationship with someone. As long as you live, we will always be busy doing something, whether that's helping our children with schoolwork or employment, dealing with life challenges and so forth. You are not exempt from the busyness of life. So that's something you have to accept. Whether you're married, whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship, or friendship. It doesn't matter. You're going to always be busy doing something in this life, unless you're just one of those people that just lay on the couch all day playing Super Mario, doing nothing. But most productive people are out and about doing their duties, doing their job. We're busy. I'm a busy man. We're busy. But watch this. I'm going somewhere with this. You got to follow me. I believe, first of all, to fully understand today's message, we have to understand that everything we are talking about today revolves around time and priority. Can you say it? Can you repeat that after me? Say time and priority. The word priority means a de fact or condition of being regarded or treated as important. This is what you need to realize. Number one, if you are too busy, please refrain from entering any kind of relationship. I know that may sound harsh, but I just got to say it just the way I feel it. Stop going into relationships telling these people I'm too busy, because that makes them feel like you don't care about them. That makes them feel like that you don't prioritize them. It makes them feel like you have to fit them into your little schedule. While everything else is important to you, that person must not be as important or regarded as important as the definition says. Because sometimes our priorities are not in order. I've been through that before. I had to get my priorities in order, especially if I'm in a relationship or whatnot. As busy as I am, I have to make time for that which is important to me. But the reality of it is that if you are too busy, you probably don't need to be in a relationship. Number two, keep in mind that any relationship will require time. You can't run from it. You can run to the east, the north, the west, and the south. No matter where you go, no matter who you're with, they are going to require time from you. They are. It's like going to work. You punch in, you do your job, you get paid. But it's impossible to get paid if you're not what? Doing the work. It's the same way with relationships. It requires time. Relationships are the same way. You have to punch in. You have to put in the work. You have to realize that this person requires time from me and I require time from them. Spending time with your partner is nothing new. It is essential to making a relationship grow and blossom into something much more beautiful and profound. But it all starts with time. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the work. And I'm not just talking about just one person. This is not just about a one-sided relationship. I'm talking about in general. You both have to do it. This works both ways. And lastly, regardless of how busy you are, it is important. And lastly, regardless of how busy you are, if it's important to you, you will create time for that person. I hate to drop this bomb on you, but I am too busy. It's no longer an excuse to not spending time with the person that you say that you care about, to the person that you say that you love, and that you want them to always be around you and in your life, and that you value them and all this. If they mean that much to you, you won't be saying stuff like I'm too busy. Because you'll make time for that. It all goes back to time and priority. And some of us need to get our priorities straight or prioritize. We need to get it straight. I am going to make time for you. Why? Because you are important to me. Priority people. You are a priority in my life. Typically, people who claim that they are too busy, this is not always true, but sometimes in my case it was in the past with the experience I'm about to tell you about. But typically when people say they are too busy for you, they are slowly trying to either tell you that they want to end things with you, or they no longer have an interest in you, which leads to, what do they call it when a person just disappears? Ghosting. Ghosting. You just don't hear. At one time they was active in your life, interactive in your life. They were there, always texting you, calling you, emailing you. All of a sudden they just kind of disappeared. So, but many people who do this just don't know how to communicate that to you, that they're really done with you, that they really lost interest. And I've actually had this experience. I dated a lady, I would say about nearly a year ago. Um, we met through, of course, Facebook. I had known this lady for quite a while, and a relationship developed out of our connection. At first, she was very engaging, very interactive. There was hardly ever a time I wouldn't look at my phone and she's sending texts and emails and calls. There was no such thing as I'm too busy. Then over time, I would say in the span of like a month or two, over time, I started to notice a decline in those things where I started to question, like, hey, I haven't heard, and I did my part. I would respond and so forth. It wasn't a one-sided thing, but I did my part too. But I noticed a decline where a lot of stuff that she was saying in the beginning, she stopped saying. And then when I started to question her about it, I believe she took offense to it because I said, you know what, this is not feeling the same. I'm not saying relationships always feel the same all the time. They're not designed to feel the same. As you grow and develop and learn each other, you're going to always see things in each other that you may not like. You may see things that you may like and qualities and things in that person you may like. But I just noticed over time she started to change, started to ghost me, so to speak. I knew she was getting my messages, and that's really devastating because as an adult you would think you would have the balls to say, hey, Henry, we did meet off Facebook. I enjoyed my time with you. I just don't think, we're going to be good for each other. Oh, well, I'm just saying this, whatever the case may be, regardless of what may happen, it's important to just be straightforward with that person. Don't beat around the bush. And that was my experience. And that was a hurtful situation because I really cared about this person at one time. We were friends for a while, but it kind of ruined our friendship. To make a long story short, she started to send me messages talking about, well, I'm too busy. That's what this was consistently. I'm too busy. I would text good morning, wouldn't even get a response. I'm too busy. I'm too busy. Oh, I'm too busy at work. I'm training someone. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm too busy. And I started to think, I was like, but you weren't too busy when we first, you get where I'm going? When we first interacted, you weren't too busy. But now you're too busy for me. Then she made the statement, she said, this is why I don't go into relationships because of this right here. Well, why did you show an interest in me then? Or anyone? If you, like I said, if you're that busy, why are you wasting my time? Anyway, I'm gonna get off of that. But that's what I've been through. I know what it's like. That's why I always tell you when I do these shows, I'm not just pulling something out of thin air. This is something I've actually experienced myself. I've actually lived it. I know what it's like to be with someone who had an interest in you at one time and all of a sudden they ghost you, disappear, lose interest. But they're just not man or woman enough to address that with you. So if you can make time for everything else in your life, and this is what I don't understand, if you can make time for everything else in your life, we should show even much more an effort to our significant other. Is it that difficult, people? It can't be that difficult. It also baffles me that how one can completely be invested into you and all of a sudden they become too busy for you. Do you ever think of asking, as I said earlier, you weren't too busy to begin with when we first met, so what happened? Something happened in that area. So the good news is spending time together, as you all know, will and can bring you closer. And as I aforementioned, the bad news is if you refrain from spending time with each other, it can easily create issues. As I said in the beginning of the program, it can create a major problem and even possibly the end of that relationship because you're not putting time in. Like I said earlier, it's like going to work You gotta punch in and you leave and you get paid. You're not gonna get paid if you're not putting time in. You're not gonna have a healthy relationship, and nobody's not gonna be with you if you're too busy. Okay, I'm just gonna say it like it is. They're not gonna be with you. You have to make an effort, even if you are busy. Just be honest with that person, baby or honey or whatever you want to call it. Yes, I'm a busy man, but you know what? You are a priority in my life. Some of you need to tell your spouse that right now, your significant other. Yes, I'm busy. They may know that you're busy. Your schedule may be swamped, but you still make time to call. You still make time to text. Hey, honey, let's meet on at this restaurant, a Chinese restaurant. Let's have lunch today. Let's go on a date. Let's do this. Let's do it. There's no excuse. And I would even throw this in. Even if you have children, there's no excuse why you can't spend time with your mate. You can make some type of arrangements if that person really matters to you. And like I said, if you're too busy, I'll keep saying it, just don't try to date. Don't waste somebody's time. Just don't do that. Life cannot be all about work. That's why when I hear people say, I'm too busy. Your life is not all about work 24/7. So a day to just sit back and reminisce and focus on connecting and the enjoyment helps strengthen your relationship and the one that you're with. That's what it does. You have to learn how to be creative. Stop using the excuse that you're too busy. You can always create more time as well. As many of us know, in order to make a relationship work, you might have to put in the time. You're never too busy to spend time with someone. You're never too busy to make time for someone. That is, those you prioritize. Someone, once again, that's important to you. That is very important. Being busy is not the reason you cannot do it. Instead, it's because you do not hold it as one of your priorities. Can I say it again? I said being busy is not the reason you can't do it. It's just that you refuse to hold that individual as a priority in your life, which explains why you're too busy for them. So when one person is consistently absent or too busy for a relationship, it can be very difficult to lay out a solid, a solid foundation and to preserve a sense of well-being and fulfillment in that relationship. You just won't get that type of fulfillment. There won't be anything healthy coming from it because you're not putting time in it. So when a person is too busy for someone, it makes the other person feel as though they are not important. It does. It makes them feel like they're not important or worth their time, therefore leaving them feeling undervalued. Do you feel that way when people say that to you? I'm too busy. It makes you feel like you're not important. If it makes you feel like, what am I, chopped liver? You make time for everything else. Well, how come you can't make time for me? So I believe if your partner doesn't have enough time for you, as we go to a close, if your partner don't have enough time for you, then they are not worthy enough to be with you. If your partner do not have enough time for you, they are not worthy enough to be with you. And I personally wouldn't be with someone where I have to fit into their little schedule. I want to feel like I'm important in your life. I want to feel like I'm treasured in your life. I want to feel like I'm valued in your life. I want to feel like I'm accepted in your life. I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to be someone that you just fit into a little box just to make time to be with me. That's torment. I don't want that type of relationship. I don't want that. And to those who may be going through this right now, you can't be wasting your time with these people. Connect with somebody that will spend time with you. Don't waste your time with somebody that's too busy for you. Your time is too important and valuable, and your time is limited. How many know that we're not here on this earth forever? Make the best of it while you're here. Don't waste your time with people who don't got time. I'm too busy. I don't got time. Don't give them the space of the day. Don't give them the space of the day. You need to be with someone who understands that you require their time, and they don't make an excuse or an issue out of you spending time with them. Now, there is a balance that when it comes to this, I said before, it's not a bad thing to be busy. We are a busy people. Did I say that earlier? We're a busy people. I totally get it. You're busy. But I do believe it's possible to still maintain a healthy relationship. It has a lot to do with communication back and forth between you two, and to be too busy, but actually make time for each other. Neither of you are going around saying I'm too busy for each other. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, it is possible to still have a healthy relationship and be extremely busy, but setting some boundaries and talking and making time for each other, strategizing your schedule, rescheduling some things, making some things work, making some adjustments, so to speak. Why? Because I care about this person. They are important to me. I love this person. And when you love them, as I said, you'll make the necessary steps to make time for that person. We need to always remember that no one is ever too busy. Really think about what I'm about to say. No one is ever too busy if deep down they really want to make it work. If you really care about this person, the whole thing, I'm too busy, if you deep down inside, if you really want to make it work, there's no such thing as I'm too busy. And I want you to also to remember that. Sure, there are challenges, there are busy schedules, but we are capable of making the right choices. Thank you so much. Once again, if you didn't hear what I said in the beginning of the broadcast, I want you to put this question. I want you to answer this question in the comments. Are you too busy for your significant other? If you feel like you're too busy, if you feel comfortable, you don't have to explain why. And I would love your feedback. This is a non-judgmental zone. We don't judge anyone. Just share your thoughts. What do you think about today's subject that I've discussed with you today? If you liked us and what I had to share today, visit us on youtube.com/Henry Harris. That's the number 100. So you'll see a button right there that says subscribe to our channel, or go to Facebook, /The Brother Henry and You Show. Follow our page, like us there. God bless you. I love you. You are the best. We'll see you next week. Well, Perry, you are awesome.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, and I appreciate you what you're doing too, buddy.
Well, thank you. Because if you allow the world to define you, if you allow friends to define you, if you allow your spouse to define you, or anybody to define you outside of how God sees you, that does open the door to rejection. God bless you. I hope y'all have an amazing day.
Thank you, Brother Henry.
Thank you.
God bless you too. Thank you for having us.